So right now the sky is looking pretty nice and clear. It does have a habit though of when the sun dips down below the horizon of condensation forming high up there and clouds beginning to form as this is a tropical country. However, it does look like it's going to be quite good tonight, and what I would like to do this evening is try and continue gathering data on Andromeda, also the Triangulum Galaxy. So both of those I've been working on, and I can usually get those over this area before they drop down below behind that hill. And then later on I would like to pick up some more data on the jellyfish and Thor's head, and also Flaming Star. I've got so much that I'm working on, but the Flaming Star or Thor's Head Nebulae or the Dolphin also I'm working on. And the Dolphin's coming out really nice. I really like the Dolphin Nebulae, but it's very dark and it's very faint and it needs a lot of exposure. So I've got about 2 hours or so on that, but I definitely need more, maybe 5+ hours total I'll need on that one. And the Flaming Star I think is coming out quite well, but I probably need another 2 hours or so on that also. The other thing is I've been imaging the Flaming Star Nebula using my dual pass filter, but I think I'd also like to get some RGB data on it as well and combine those together. So yeah, I'm looking forward hopefully to a good night's imaging with these clear skies behind us. So we've got about another hour or so before the sun sets, so there's still time for the clouds to come out, but let's hope not. So it's 6 o'clock now, the sun's starting to set, so now it's time to bring out the telescope, and we still have almost cloudless skies. A little bit of cloud around there, but I think that's going to clear pretty much once it goes dark and it cools down a little bit. That is going to clear away, and we will be able to have hopefully a pretty good night imaging this evening. So let's go and get the telescope out and set up. Okay, so that didn't take too long. The AM5 mount is pretty easy to move around. So, you know, this whole rig, I just keep it permanently kind of set up. So it makes setup a lot quicker and easier, and I don't have a heavy mount with counterweights to drag around. So I'm quite happy with that. So now I've got it all plugged in. Obviously it's not dark enough yet to polar align or anything like that. But what I can do is start cooling the camera. So something that I often forget to do until I'm just about to start imaging. I forget to cool the camera, and then I waste 15 minutes or so cooling it because I have to cool it slowly because of the humidity here and the heat. If I drop it too quickly, I end up with condensation or ice forming. So I do have to cool it down in stages. So I go from ambient right now, which is about 28 degrees, down to 10 in 5 minutes, and then I'll take it from 10 down to 5 in 5 minutes, and I'll go from 5 to 0 in 5 minutes. Then I'll go to -5, which is about as low as I can get it here. Given the temperatures. So that is my procedure, and obviously that is kind of like a half an hour kind of procedure there, which if you forget to do it and you just want to do it just when you're going to start imaging, well, that's half an hour wasted. So I can already start pre-cooling it now, which I've started doing. Fans running, and that CCD will be starting to cool down. And then as soon as we start to see enough stars that we can do our 3-point polar alignment in Nina, we'll get that done. And then hopefully this evening we're going to start off with, I think, Andromeda. We'll get some imaging on that for a couple of hours probably, and then we'll get the Triangulum Galaxy for a couple of hours, and then we'll switch over to Jellyfish Nebulae or the Flaming Star, depending on where they are and how the cloud cover is and how things are going. We'll get one or the other. So both the Flaming Star and Jellyfish I'm trying to gather more data on, and the Dolphin's Head. Thor's Nebulae Thor's Head I could do with getting a little bit more on as well, but that isn't until much later in the night that becomes available from our viewpoint. So as usual, I got kind of a plan, but we'll see how it goes as we go along. So let's just wait now for it to get properly dark so we can get polar aligned and get going with our imaging session. Okay, so while we're waiting for it to get dark, let's talk a little bit about filters. So I use the SV Bonnie filter drawer. Let's take a look at that over here on the camera. So here it is. is the SV Bonnie camera. This is the filter drawer here. So in this filter drawer, we can insert various filters that we're using. So I have been using this for my nebulae, which is a dual band filter. So that I believe is hydrogen alpha and O3. So that's what I've been using in my last imaging session. I'm not going to be using this for the galaxies. I did do 2 hours the other day on Andromeda using this dual pass filter, and it was an absolute waste of time. I hardly got any usable data out of it. It was just too dark. So lesson learned there. I do believe on Triangulum there is some hydrogen alpha that you could bring out using this filter, I think. But I'm not going to risk it tonight. I'm just going to go with my UV IR cut filter, which is this one. This will help to eliminate star bloating and the bright areas of the galaxy. So also it's useful if shooting the jellyfish. So I did shoot the jellyfish yesterday with the dual band. I'm going to get some RGB on it if we do it today. So I'm going to be using the UV IR cut filter. Now when I change between filters, I do have to do a little bit of refocusing, but not very much. These both seem to have about the same back focus, which is quite nice. I don't have an autofocuser. That probably will be an upgrade that I am considering getting, is an autofocuser and a filter wheel. One of the big advantages for the filter wheel for me will be on different targets I'm shooting different gain, different exposure lengths, and so I need a different set of darks and biases for each one of those. So with the automated filter wheel, I could switch to a dark filter for when I'm taking my flats at the end of each session, instead of me having to wake up at 3 or 4 o'clock to do that before I change to another target. So anyway, we don't have that set up now. That's all for the future. But for now, what I've got is this SV Bonnie filter drawer and this. So I'm going to swap out this filter, which we have in there now, the dual pass, for the UV IR cut filter. And that's really straightforward. You just pull this one out and slide this one in. Now it is clean. I give it a wipe with a cloth first. I'll put that in there. So there we go. So that is our setup, basically. So now we just wait for it to get dark. Okay, starting to get dark enough now. We're going to probably proceed with our polar alignment in the next 5 minutes, and then get lined up with our target. So the camera's already cooled down now to -5 degrees, which is, like I say, about as cold as I can get it here. And we've got our Nina imaging set up, so let's go and take a look at that. Okay, so in our sequencer here, because I don't have an automatic rotator, I cannot automatically switch from Triangulum to Andromeda because I've got to rotate the camera. So rather than setting up the two here to go in sequence, I'm going to have to manually, when Triangulum is done, slew to Andromeda and then rotate. Now if I had an automatic field rotator, then I could set this up to happen automatically. And you know, a lot of people, they buy the automatic focusing, and I haven't had a problem with focus, but I think the field rotator would be very useful. However, it is more expensive. So here is where Triangulum currently is now, here. And this is our kind of twilight area where we're going dark, and then this is where it's going to be fully astronomically dark in about 30 minutes. But during this kind of twilight period, I can usually get my polar alignment done. So as soon as it gets proper dark, I'll be able to start. We've got all this all set up. We're going to be taking 50 subs, 50 exposures, each one 1.5 minutes long. And we're going to be dithering every 4. And we've got a gain of 110. And we've got our guiding, PhD2 is already ready to go, but we'll see, not dark enough yet. So it looks like it's getting dark enough now for me to probably start trying to polar align. So I'm going to go and get the lights turned off on the balcony here, and we'll see if we can find some stars up there to polar align against. Okay, so here's our initial error. It's quite large. We've got 5 degrees. We need to move to the west. However, our altitude error is pretty good. So we'll just move over to the left, and then we will Probably start from the beginning again just to get a more accurate polar alignment. Okay, so it's the second time around much better. We're about half a degree out, but we can improve this. So we'll just move slightly to the left, a little bit up on the altitude, and we'll try and get that total error down. Okay, so we've got a pretty good polar alignment there. Total error is just 11 minutes 55 seconds. So now let's go and get ourselves framed up on the Triangulum Galaxy. So here we are in the framing assistant, and we've already got it loaded up. There's a triangulum. We want our camera field of rotation to be 101.4 degrees. I don't think it is right now. It might be, but let's see. So first thing we're going to go do is click slew and center, and that should now slew our telescope over towards Triangulum. It will then take a picture, plate solve, move again, get us on target, and then we can check our rotation of the camera. So it's just adjusting there at plate solved. You see there, now it's exposing another image. And now we're centered up on the target. Okay, now I am going to open up PhD2. We're going to select some stars, and we'll start guiding. So this gives the guiding a little bit of time to settle down before we actually start our imaging. So that can now be sorted out. Now we'll determine rotation of camera. Hopefully it'll be correct already. No, it's not. Okay, so in that case then, let's stop our guiding. We need to rotate the camera around. So it's 35.78, but we need it, if we want to line these up with our previous pictures, be 101.4. So what we'll do is rotate our field rotator manually to get to 101.4. Like I say, if I had an automatic one, I'd be able to automatically dial in this number and rotate, but I don't, so I've got to do it manually. We'll try and get it close to 101.4 as we can. Okay, so 101.15 is close enough. So now I will start our guiding here in PhD2. There you go. So we've got our guide star selected, and that will now start guiding. We'll give that a little bit of time to settle down. So we're framed up on target. We have our field of view rotated properly. Our camera is down to our target temperature, -5 degrees. See, I'm using 99% of the cooling power. It's a bit of a warm evening tonight here in the Philippines, so but hopefully it will cool down, and we'll see that cooling power usage go down as it does tend to cool off a little bit. But right now it's still pretty humid. You can actually go over to our weather app here built into Nina, and you can see that we've got 61% humidity, and the outside air temperature right now is 28.5 degrees. Not ideal, you know, considering our camera can cool to about 30 degrees below ambient, and we're trying to push it down to -5. So we are pushing the limits of our camera's cooling capability here, but it will cool off as the evening goes on. But we are at target temperature. We are at -5, just about. We'll see if we can keep it there. We should be able to. Okay, so we'll go over to sequencer now, and we're pretty much ready to go. So we're going to take 50 shots, 150 seconds each. These are our lights, dithering every 4 frames, gain of 110. Start guiding there. Okay, we're all good. So the only thing I want to do now is just check our focus. So I will go over here to image, and we'll run some exposure loops, and we'll check our focus here. So it's going to start exposing some pictures for us. You can see we've got pretty sharp stars there. I might throw the Batinov mask on just to be sure, but I think that's pretty good. Okay, so our focus is all good. I checked it out with the Batinov mask, and I'm quite happy with it. We've got pretty sharp stars there. And so our guiding is good. Settle down. those jumps there are just where I was playing with the focus. So I think we are now good to go. Let's get started. So we go over to our sequencer, final double check, start guiding is on. We're already guiding, so that's fine. We're going to be getting 2 hours 5 minutes of data on this. We're going to be finishing at 2100 hours, which should put it just about here in the sky, just when it starts to disappear behind the edge of my house. So let's start. Okay, so we are 9 images into our session. You can see there on our auto stretch live image coming in the shape of the Triangulum Galaxy. So our guiding is quite good. So these are 2.5 minute exposures. We've got pretty sharp stars there, you see. There's no elongation or star trailing going on, so our tracking and guiding is good. So I'm quite hopeful that this is going to be some good data. So I already had an image of Triangulum, but that was about 2 hours of exposure. But this galaxy, although it is our second nearest, it is a little dark, darker definitely than Andromeda. So it's not one of the brightest galaxies to capture, especially some of these outer bands here. So although 2.5 hours on Andromeda is enough to get a reasonable image, I wasn't quite happy with the Triangulum at 2.5 hours. So if we can get another 2 hours of data today and it's coming in clear like this, I think we are going to get a really quite nice final image. So I think we can fit in all of the images that we want to get, which would be total of 2 hours and 4 minutes or something. We've got 1 hour 40 left on this, and then we'll switch to another target. So this is the problem I have with imaging the Triangulum Galaxy from this location. You see this dark shadow appearing here. It's the roof of our house. That's the edge of the roof of the house. Starting to crop the image now. So about now I will transition to Andromeda instead. That's about as much imaging as we can get on this for now. That's 12 images. We'll add that to what we've already got, and then possibly after Andromeda we can always come back to this if it's already appeared from behind the house again. So we'll switch over to Andromeda now and get lined up on that and get some images there. So here's our saved target set for the Andromeda Galaxy. What we'll do to get lined up on this is we will click this button here, which is send coordinates to framing wizard. It'll now send it over to here, and then we'll get the camera slewed onto this. So it's going to download the image from hips to fits sky, and there we go. Okay, so we need our camera to be rotated around to 65.89 degrees, whereas right now we're at 101 still from doing Triangulum. So we'll rotate the field rotator and get framed up on this. Okay, so we're centered up and we've rotated. We're at 65.92 instead of 89, close enough. So now we'll start imaging on this, and we can add this to the data that we've already collected. I've already got about 4 hours already on Andromeda, so we're just going to add this to it while we wait for Triangulum to pass by the edge of the roof of the house. Then we'll switch back over to that and try and finish our imaging of that. So here's our Andromeda Galaxy images coming in on the screen here. We've got 20 out of our 60 submissions so far, but I think we're not going to quite have time to finish all of them. You can see now it's starting to get low in the sky, and quite soon it's going to disappear behind a hill that we have over there. But the good news is as soon as that happens, we can switch back over to Triangulum, and we'll be able to get that for a little period of time to complete, hopefully, then our sequencing on these 2 galaxies this evening, and then it'll be time to switch over to some nebulae. So Andromeda's starting to disappear now behind the hill over there, and the Triangulum's come out now from behind the house. So I've stopped my sequencing on Andromeda. I've switched back to Triangulum, rotated the field again back to match as it was before. Now we'll start, and we'll probably get another hour on Triangulum before that too is going to disappear behind the same mountain, because it's basically following Andromeda. and then we'll switch over to some other nebulae targets. And for that, we're probably going to change the filter to our dual pass filter, depending on what we're imaging, or I may collect some RGB data. So we'll see. It depends on what's around and how the clouds are by that time.